Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our final conversations with colleagues for this semester. We are joined today and we'll be talking with Lori Alamano, who was the recipient of this year's Lifelong Learner Award. So we'll be getting to just hear a bit of her journey and more about her. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, Lori. Thank you for being here with us today. I'm going to switch to put you front and center there, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, Lori works as the administrative assistant to the chief of police in public safety. And so, Lori, why don't we just start with that? Share with us a bit about your role in public safety, working with the chief, and a little bit more about yourself.
I have to say this at first, it's sort of like, I'm comfortable behind a microphone and on a stage, but do this and I'm back to my introverted self. So I'm really an introvert at heart, and but I don't admit that outside. So what was the question?
Just share a bit about what you do and your role on campus.
I guess the one thing I could immediately say is, what don't I do? Anyone here today or anyone out there that's an administrative support coordinator, we wear multiple hats. And I'm sure that the police department is no different than any other department on campus with everything that we do. It's pretty much been my career for a very long time. I actually stepped into administrative support work in 1979, and was just a year or so out of high school, and made a shift out of working in the food industry. I'll just put it that way. And decided to go into clerical, and I've been at it ever since. And I started with an employment agency, by the way, so that was kind of fun. And when we used a typewriter, and had to do typing tests. I've been here in the public safety department for 22 years now, and the public safety department encompasses parking and traffic operations, and then the police department. And so I started out here as a parking officer, and gradually worked my way into becoming the administrative assistant to the parking department. And I told Katie earlier, a little known secret about myself when it comes to the parking department. I love doing traffic control. I know that sounds really weird, but it was such a kick, and it's challenging, it's eventful, it's everything it's wrapped up to be. And I'd go out there in a heartbeat anytime to do traffic control, because I just love it. Then I was transferred over. I worked for the interim police chief. I was actually kind of handpicked to fill in as an interim position for the assistant, who had also retired after Chief Button had. And so it was quite a compliment to be asked to step into that role, administrative assistant to the police department. It was just sort of like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then eventually it became a permanent role when we hired Chief Huerta. And I sat on the committee. He was one of my top picks as well. And he hit the ground running when he came to this campus, I can tell you that much. And we both had a lot to learn, because there was a lot that needed to be done here. And so I've been here in the police department now for about 18 years. And I know the inner workings of both parking and police. I can really step into any role at any time. I can still assist in parking. And I think I've mentioned to Katie, some things may have changed and maybe doing things in a newer fashion, but usually the bones are still the same. And so I feel comfortable if they need help at the front counter or anywhere like that. I'm able to just slide in everywhere. Primarily, my function in here really is doing a lot of the purchasing, the payables and purchasing. I feel I have a really good relationship with the purchasing department. I create requisitions all the time, and with not being involved in the vetting process of what they need or anything like that. That's usually done by the managers, and then it all just comes here, and we need this, and figure out how to get it done, et cetera, et cetera. And I think we do it pretty seamlessly now. So I enjoy doing that. I love working with purchasing. When I came here, it was just like, everybody's always mad at purchasing and procurement. I see Virginia going, and I'm the type of person that's like, well, when I got here, they had PeopleSoft, and the PeopleSoft program. And are you familiar with PeopleSoft? Hey, look, it's just another accounting program. That's all you have to do is learn it. But so many people were aggravated with it, and it was just so funny because I thought, okay, I want to see why other people love it. And so I would sit with the key people to figure it out. And there has to be another side to this. And so that's my approach. And it would be the same way with purchasing. I wanted to understand how purchasing works. What do they do? And how, because there's just a lot of times in the past, it would just be, well, why can't we? Well, because Virginia knows. She's been here a long time too. And so you have to learn all those things to be able to share that information and relay it back to management. And those were some challenging times, and we got through it, and everything goes so seamless now. I love purchase. I love all the people that are in purchasing, as well as the people that everything that our account AP techs do. It's a lot. It is a lot, and I don't think we give them enough gratitude. And so I always try my best to do that and appreciate them. Sometimes these are just thankless roles, but the thanks come in different forms and things. So you're doing well.
Right. And what I love about what you just shared, Lori, is, we're talking today and, having this conversation because you did receive the Lifelong Learner Award this last year. And as you're talking about your role on campus and what you've done the last 18 years and just this perspective that you've brought to your department, there's so much learning that you've described, and just that approach of is really a perspective that sounds like it's a big part of who you are. And so can you share a little bit? So for those of you who don't know, the Lifelong Learner Award is for the person who attended the most professional development classes during the year. And so Lori attended the most last year. So I'm going to deviate from our planned questions just a little bit. And Lori, can you share a bit about just kind of what brought you to that mindset over this last year, especially to really jump in and attend so many classes?
I will always fall back on this. When we got sent home during the pandemic, one thing I do, I've been doing here for a very, very long time is I do work very autonomously. I'm not bothered very often about too many things, and I get the job done. And I remember Chief Huerta would say that all the time. He thought I was magic sometimes in certain situations. He'd go, oh, just do your magic. That all, I thought I was doing great, because I worked autonomously. I didn't need a lot of oversight or anything like that. But being sent home the way that we all did, and it affects every single one of us on a different level and differently. But for me, and I'm used to being by myself. I live alone, and my kids are grown and out of the house. And I kind of thought, oh, this isn't going to be any problem. But that was more than just being autonomous. That was lonely. and quiet, with a lot of stuff going on, a lot of distraction going on, and all the uncertainties and the, just the fluctuations of COVID and everything. And I reached a point. First, it was all overwhelming, and then it slowed down. And then I reached this point of I was only as good as I was receiving an email or a phone call in an 8-hour day. And, there wasn't anything else I could create or do once everything was done. And I'm always in this building, all up and down the place, making sure there's supplies, cleaning a kitchen, doing whatever, so that I can get some steps in and walk around for a little bit and then come back and plow into whatever it is I'm doing. And, it was a lot of just starting to be a lot of space. And when all the professional developments came up, I always dabbled in them, but for the most part, it was just like, I wanted to show somewhere that I was at my desk, that I was doing things, and that I was being active in everything that the campus was promoting. And we had all the racist stuff going on and everything. And I wanted to have better understandings and have communications, not just what the news was feeding us, and really get involved in a lot of those things that made me feel grounded, educated, learning. I can't tell you how many times I took CSU by, or how many times I went on and took the same course over and over and over, just because I didn't have someone to talk to and hands-on. And so, yeah, I just wanted to keep my mind sharp. I wanted to stay in the game. And that was the only way I could figure out how to do it, by just taking on all those. And then, of course, the wellness activities, that was just like, needed that big time. And, when the holidays were crashing out, and I knew after New Year's it was just going to go, I think, what was that one, that cross country thing came up and all that. And man, I was out walking, I was out doing everything I could. I'm exercising in my living room, and I'm seeing, other people in the classes, and it was great. And then a lot of things were via Zoom, and you start really, we got really heart to heart in a lot of Zoom sessions through Admin Academy and the Wellness Posse and things like that. And I think we just needed that. We needed those facial connections and the voices and everybody, so I guess that's why it kept me going.
Yeah, that's awesome. I apologize for my dog barking. So yeah, that's great. And I know before we've talked to you about just building those connections also, and looking for creative ways to continue moving forward, and to just continue fostering those connections across the campus. So do you want to share a little bit more about your professional journey and career? I know you shared a bit already, but what roles have you had on campus? What lessons have you learned from those roles or experiences?
Well, I mentioned that I've been in this role for 29 years, and in various other places. Something's going on in your place. In the private sector and here at Fresno State. I mean, my only roles here, basically been the assistant to the parking manager, the administrative assistant to the chief, which will be probably the most memorable role I'll ever have. I've served 3 chiefs here between the interim for a short period of time. Very flattered to have been hand selected. I was still in an interim type position, filling in. I was actually filling in 2 desks. I was doing the parking administrative assistant and the police administrative assistant when Chief Huerta came on board, and then they decided to make it a permanent position. And so I moved over there. Not being familiar with police, I stepped out immediately and joined the Citizens Police Academy, because as I was replacing the outgoing administrative assistant who retired, I only found out when it was her party, and I was, she's walking out the door, basically. We do the same thing. And I very quickly learned, no, we don't, this is different. And so I took the academy, and I'm glad I did that because it gave me a better understanding about what our officers do, what our dispatchers do. And so, that's really, really been it. And serving 3 chiefs, which I'm, with Chief Warch's untimely passing, now under Chief Watson. And I got to say, it's just one of the most fulfilling jobs I think I've ever had, my fulfilling role in my whole entire life, to be serving these officers, the chief, the lieutenant, the officers. It's a unique department. I'm sure everybody is aware, but if you're really not aware, from our CSSs to our parking officers to dispatch to the officers here, every single one of them, this is a 24/7 operation. It never closes down. Though the administration goes home, they're here, and they're, they are protecting this campus. They serve they cover a 1-mile radius, so they protect us from the outside in, and they work really hard. And it's unique in that any one of us can be called in. Even me, if there was something that required me to come in a crisis situation, there's going to be something I'm going to have to do. And that's kind of the unique thing about this position. It's very rare that I'm ever called to do anything, but I always know that it's there. And I would freely come in to do anything that needs to be done from me. We're really like a family here, and we truly care about one another and take care of each other. And I just make sure that the officers are never without, that the dispatchers are never without. I do my best to do that. And I put this in my little notes because I wanted to share this. Something my father told me when I first got into administrative work. He said to me, always have a backup to your backup. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And he goes, just always have a backup to your backup. You have your backup so everybody knows where everything is if they run out. But then if they come in and they think it's all gone, you always have something stashed somewhere. And he says, and that way they'll always think you're the bomb. And and you know what? It's kind of true, because that's how I do it. That's how I roll. It's like, nope, I'm always going to have 2 extra pins that somebody likes special, put back here. And when they think everything's entirely depleted, it's like, nope, I got you. I know there's a little thing, but they matter. No, the details do matter. I'm painfully detail oriented. Sometimes it's my demise, especially when it came to this meeting. But then again, the details matter. They really, really do.
And what I hear in that too, Lori, is, tying back to just the care that you take in the people around you, not just the people, but also in learning the processes. And that ties back into the learning, because with what you were saying earlier, that helps you do your job better, which means that the people that it affects are able to do their job better too. And so you just hear this really beautiful balance of learning the strategies or the details or the processes, learning about people that you work with also, in order to help them just do their jobs better and you to be the bomb, right?
Be the bomb.
Yeah.
Not a good word in this department, but.
Well, and I just want to share, Deborah put this in the chat, just that you're being very humble, and that, you consistently step up and step in to fill gaps, and have learned very fast just how to figure things out. And, a lot of comments in the chat too, just celebrating the work that you do. And again, what I hear and see in that also is that the work that you do is really just a reflection of who you are. And it does have such a positive effect on everyone around you. So I hope you're seeing those in the chat, but I know sometimes it's hard to see both. So I wanted to make sure that I added that in, so you're good.
When I look at the recording later, can we see those?
We can't see the chats, but I can send it to you, definitely.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying not to get sidetracked. I see them pop up and it's
I
like,
know.
oh, look at that.
I know.
Yeah.
So you mentioned this a little bit when we were talking about the different classes and whatnot, but can you share with us a little bit more about your experience just serving the campus over this last very interesting, a little tumultuous year and a half? What were some of the changes that you experienced and how did that affect you personally and also the work that you do?
Was that on here?
It was.
I think it said something about serving students in the community, right?
Yes.
And the changes, in a nutshell, I used to work with students a lot. I used to have student assistants and things. And so I haven't had a personal student assistant in a very long time. However, we are student assistant oriented over here, especially when it comes to our public safety assistants that are out there assisting our parking officers and our traffic officers and stuff. And then we have fantastic student assistants in dispatch. I'm going to say they're all fantastic. And I only get to see the ones that work in dispatch that come in, and we have one who does our live scan now. And, I didn't get to work with any student assistants, basically, from home. It was just me, myself, and I. And I miss that. When I do have student assistants around, I do enjoy sharing life lessons with them. I'm very thorough, so I'll explain kind of the backside of something that they're doing, and they, may not understand the full process of it. And I do like what they bring to the table. The one thing I enjoyed about having student assistants myself was, I have a system, I have things in place, et cetera, and they would do my filing and do stuff for me. And I literally would tell them, if you can find a way or suggest a way that it can be done better, like I'm open. And I love that. I love that about students. I would have craved to have had student assistant at home because I was everywhere. Set up in the living room, using a kitchen counter. My poor bedroom got the overspill. Whenever people would come over, everything go hush, rustling back there real quick to hide it all. It was just like I was all over the map. White papers up like they were dry erase boards on the walls. It was a nightmare. Hallways full, but I'm just totally not in my space. And so, yeah, those are, I miss that. And that's what I love about, the student assistants. And I think, one of the changes that I experienced and I really did learn about myself was really how resilient I really am. And when all the chaos started to kind of settle down a bit, I was adaptable. I learned how I was adaptable, I guess, really adaptable to change. I'm always told that, but I really was adaptable to change. I was really, really independent. And I knew that after being home a year and a half, I was coming back a different person. Not in a bad way, but just in a completely different, enlightened way.
Yeah, I love that. And again, I mean, I know I've said it before, but I just love that in everything that you're sharing, this Lifelong Learner Award is one of the, I guess, more tangible awards in the sense that it's based off of attending professional development classes. And yet, as we're talking, I just continue to hear this theme that's so much broader than just that one measurement of attending classes, that really it's just this theme in your life of facing situations, learning the best way to move forward and applying that over and over and over again. And I love what you just shared, that you came back, you're a different person. Because I think when we approach life in that way, where we're constantly looking for those opportunities to grow, and those lessons, those opportunities to learn, we do become a different person over time. And it's not a bad thing. It's almost becoming the person we're always created to be, because we have that intentionality behind it. And so, I love that we've gotten to have this longer conversation that really does go beyond just a report of how many classes you attended, because again, I just continue to hear that attitude of being a lifelong learner across all aspects of life. So thank you for all that you shared so far.
Total hands-on person here.
Yeah.
Expect me to learn something via Zoom electronically? That's another bubble.
Oh, that's awesome. So Lori, what's one thing that's important for the Fresno State community to know about the specific work you and your team do that we may not be aware of? Or how can we support the work that you do?
I guess I just go back. I kind of said it earlier. These are are the men and women here in the police department. These are sworn police officers. They can walk right into Fresno PD and get hired there or anywhere else outside of this campus. They're trained in absolutely everything the same. And they go through all the same courses and the same classes and get all their different certifications and things through the years. And a lot of people have a tendency to forget that. I mean, when I first started working in the department, people just thought they were security. And I used to just get under my craw, because it's like, no, these are real police officers. They can do it all. And we don't see it. I can honestly say in all the years I'm in here, I don't know half of anything. When there's investigations or anything going on, I don't know what's going on. I hear little things here and there, little tidbits, and this is under da 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 da. I don't know anything. I don't know every arrest. I don't know every little thing that they are doing out there. And I think it was important, what you called earlier, just to make sure what the radius was, because I'm administrative assistant. I'm in here just doing all the other things to keep them going. So I'm not out there in the field. So yes, they serve a 1 mile radius and work from the outside in. Our dispatchers, I think we have 7, I believe, in a 24-hour schedules that they have. There's the swing shift, the night shift, graves, all that thing, day shifts and all. And and 7 people rotate 7 days a week in those positions. That's not a lot of people. And we've been down, oh gosh, I think we were down at some point, we only had like 4. It was rough, but the men and women in there, the students do oversee the cameras, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of things that they do. Those phones are going all the time. And you never dare walk in there and say, oh, it's quiet today. Oh boy, you do that and you've opened up a can of worms, because all of a sudden it's like, who opened the barn door? It was me, I'm sorry. But they work hard to protect this campus, and sometimes it goes unrecognized, and it's almost thankless. And I think just to support our officers and our dispatchers and take time to thank them for what they do. The front counter at the for parking, not the it's a great job, but people are not happy when they get a citation, let's face it. And so they are so well trained to receive what comes in through that door. That's special, you guys. That is special, because I've never seen anybody lose it or anything like that. They are professionally trained to deal with that. Nothing's personal. And it's the same on campus. It's the same when every AP tech is serving this whole entire campus. It's not just my travel claim that's waiting to get paid or my invoice that's behind. That it's a lot. And when we all got sent home, you know, yeah, sure, I sat frustrated a few times. But then when I got in and learned of the problems people were having on the other end in their homes and etc., you know, we're all human. And I think that's one thing from the pandemic was to see and listen to other people on campus that were so overwhelmed, and to empathize with that and to understand it and not make a big deal out of it. I know it's important what we do, but I found that it's going to get done when it's going to get done sometimes. And, you know, you just kind of try to edge your item up towards the top a little bit, you know, if you can. But I really, really think I've learned to cut people slack. And I don't think I was ever rough or, you know, you know, beating anybody with, you know, I gotta get this done. I've dropped my balls too. And we juggle a lot. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Don't cry over spilt milk, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay. And
Well,
that's,
and
you know, that's, I guess I went a little bit beyond how can you support the work, I think. But I think of the officers and CSSs and the parking officers out there. There's a lot of things they do, and that, hey, thank you for what you do.
Mhm.
That goes so far. And I wish I could. I don't know if I take this camera off, but I have what I call a statement wall in here. And I don't know if you can see that very well. But what it is, literally, it's thank you cards from people on campus, outside of campus, and that type of thing. And I saw something like that in someone else's office. I don't remember who it was, but I thought, you know what, I like that, and I'm adopting it. And so everything up there is positive. And when people walk in my office, on the top, it literally says, it said be kind for a long time, and then we lost somebody very dear to our community. And so I added life is short. Be kind, especially because of what happened. What we're all still going through with this pandemic.
Right.
And I've always been like that. And be kind.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so important to what you said earlier, Lori, of just bringing that human element back, and remembering that we are all human, you know, and so being kind and cutting one another slack, and remembering that the work is going to get done, even if it's not happening right in this exact second. It's really important.
It's not to say that some of it has to get done.
Right.
I think you all know where I'm going with it.
Yes, yes. So switching gears a little bit from work specifically to just you personally and what you want to share. Tell us a little bit about your family and how you spend your time away from work. I know there was also a comment in the chat just pointing out that you are an amazing singer and have done some performances on campus as well for the, I believe it was for the Veterans Association, or the Veterans events, singing the national anthem and everything. So share with us a little bit more about Lori outside of Fresno State.
Lori outside of Fresno State is not outside of Fresno State is not an introvert, no. Oh gosh. Well, where it comes to the singing part, yeah, I've been doing national anthems. Gosh, I think I started, I used to work for the Fresno Falcons when we were a semi-professional hockey team. And I used to bug them about singing the national anthem at a game because I always wanted to do it. I always sang it for actually, I started singing it for my son when he was like 3, when we'd go to hockey games. And my oldest boy never colored in a coloring book. Crayons were hockey players. And so we didn't have a dining table when we first started out. And so he would spread them all over the floor and line them up like, they're ready to play hockey and stuff, his crayons. And then he'd hand me a jump rope in the kitchen and he'd go, Mom, sing the national anthem. And so I kind of started there. You see Liz laughing. And so I always had to drop the laundry, do it, whatever I was doing, and sing the national anthem for him. And so eventually I would just, I started to ask, can I do this? And so I started doing it at hockey games. Very nerve-wracking back in those days in front of all these people. The biggest crowd I ever did at that time was like 8,400 people, and that was like huge. And it just started to continue to go. And here on campus, I don't even know how. I didn't start with the veteran events. What I did is I was asked to sing it for the Army ROTC program's commissioning ceremonies. And I can proudly say that I have done 48 commissioning ceremonies since I've been here for our officers. And then I started to get asked to do the veterans events. I've done Scottish Highland Games. I can do the Canadian, the British, and the Scottish, obviously, and then our national anthem. One of the other ones that kind of comes to mind is we saluted the men and women here in I was gonna say law enforcement, in the armed services. There was a luncheon at the RDH, and I actually was asked to sing there and then sing something patriotic. And so I sang, it's not really a sung song, it's a spoken song, but I did Johnny Cash's Ragged Old Flag, because it really meant a lot to me when I heard it. And I don't think any other woman's ever recited it before, but I wanted to do that for them. And it's such an honor. Sports was one thing. I've actually sang in Manitoba, Canada, when my son was playing major junior hockey up there. I sang for them. And a little known secret when it comes to sporting events, I have a winning streak. And so, yeah, it's in a newspaper too, because my son was the one that says every time she sings for us, we win. And and we've got a lot of stories we can get into on that one, because there's some coaches, they're like, no, you're not allowed to sing against my team. And so, yeah, I do that. And my boyfriend is a mobile DJ and does weddings. We do weddings and everything else. And then he had karaoke when there was no pandemic going on. And that's how I normally keep my vocal cords up. Otherwise, I'm not singing at all. You think I'd have a plethora of music at home, and I really don't. I learn everything on the radio. And we got picked up to start singing for the senior centers, specifically like Clovis Senior Center. We sing for veteran homes. We entertain in Kerman. We do the Kerman Senior Center. We do their Thanksgiving and their Christmases and their benefit fairs. They just, it's so much fun singing for them. It really is, because they just take it all to heart and they just love it. And we get in costume. We do costume changes. We go up to Wishon Village once a year for 2 gigs up there in the Hootenanny stage and entertain whoever's up there for the weekend. And we have a lot of fun. And we really just play up a lot of the songs and things by what we wear. The greatest one we just did, we decided that the biggest thing that happened last year was when Stefani and Blake Shelton got married. And so now we do Blake and Gwen and their cute little songs. And I get to put on high, torn up denim shorts with sequin like nylons and red boots and the blonde wig and the whole bit. And I love it. And the red lipstick. And I'm up there pretending I'm Gwen. And that it's my element. I love to make people laugh. I like to make them smile. I love to bring joy to them through a song. So yeah, you got me started there on the music. My family, I'm married into a multicultural family. I always like to say that, because my husband was Filipino and Mexican. So my children are quite a Heinz 57 blend of everything in me and what they are. And then my grandchildren are now like they're Norwegian. It's great. And that's why I have a lot of I get a lot of empathy and understanding on a lot of the hate crimes and the things that are going on in the Asian community, in any community whatsoever. Little known thing, I lived in the islands during the most, I don't even know how to say the word, tumultuous times, like the late 60s, early 70s, and Caucasian people we were the minority. They didn't like us there. So I feel that feeling, and it was not pretty. It was not fun, and that's a whole nother story. And those things that make me me. I have my two sons. One is just turned 33 and got married in July, and they just closed on a house. So they just moved. They just finally got into it on Thursday night, and they live here in town. And then my 38-year-old lives in Bemidji, Minnesota. He was our hockey player and quite a career. And we got to ride that tail for a while. And it's a fairy tale. It just is. And it was an amazing ride. And it was more than just the hockey for him, though. Both my sons, I always had prayed that they would find God-fearing, centered women. And they did, and God is at the head of their household. And my family in Minnesota, I have two grandsons, 9 and 7, and an adopted granddaughter who is 3. And yeah, that's kind of that. That's where I spend my most time. Otherwise, I do live alone, but I'm very busy at home. I'm like the ever ready bunny. I never stop.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And Lori, looking at the time, I want to make sure that we have some time for questions, because I know there's one earlier that was put in the chat. So is there anything else that you want to share before we kind of open up the floor for questions and comments?
Is this before we do the fire round where you just slam everything at me? Rapid questions.
Well, since we only have a little bit of time left, if you just want to share anything from there, because like I said, a lot of people have had comments in the chats and we already have some hands raised. So just if you want to share with everyone, and then
you're all going to scare me. Gosh. You know, I do, we talked earlier about this. I do want to share. We have one thing about goals and priorities. And I do have a goal that I plan to retire at 65 plus or minus, based on some things that could happen and change in my life. So I will be here approximately 2.5 years. And since coming back to campus, I'm focused on shifting my work to be as paperless and efficient in my space here, so that my successor can step right into it, change it if they need to, because of course we don't always do things the way other people do, but I'm hoping I can leave it as seamless as possible for them. You know, I would, yeah. I do know that we had talked about in the rapid questions, I did want to touch on a couple things. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I wanted to share that in leaders who inspire me, I want to mention Marcy Gatesman, who is in our department, and she is a leader that does inspire me. She truly listens. She doesn't make you feel less than. She's patient. She's clear when she teaches technical stuff. And it's a lot of times, you know, when you're going through something to learn it technically, they just point here, data, click, click, click. And I'm still at point here. And so Marcy is tremendous, and no one can have her. She's ours. No, I've known that about Marcy since I started here, and actually I may be up in years than Marcy, age-wise and everything, but Marcy has, I think, more years here than myself. And when I say that I'm, you know, that I'm the older person here, when I see Marcy, I have watched Marcy just blossom. And she's very inspirational. And, I sometimes think that I'm respectful and professional, but she just takes it to another level. And I tell you, when I sit with that lady, I literally want to be a better person. That's what Marcy Gitzman does. She's a hard driver, but she makes you want to be more like her, and I always take that home with me. I always have. My sons absolutely adore Marcy. I wanted to also share, you had asked about a book or podcast or anything like that, and that I might be doing or reading and would recommend to anybody. I'm wearing this on my sleeve because the pandemic brought me closer to Christ. And if I didn't have that, I don't know, I saw a bigger picture and I didn't panic so much. It was just beautiful. And I now have my boyfriend going to church. And so that was a big achievement. But as far as books go, I'm just going to be candid and put this right out there, but the Bible, I just don't see any other book really to read right now. I'm hungry, I'm on fire for it. And it's like, yeah, that has really opened up my eyes. And, podcasts, I don't really listen to any podcasts. And also I'm going to make a comment, whatever your Bible is, yes, it doesn't have to be my Bible. It can be whatever your Bible is out there. So I've been to so many churches and things. And so it's like, whatever your faith, go. And with podcasts and things like that, there were quite a few going on at the time. I particularly love Brene Brown, but I got to say that the biggest thing that I'm doing right now is there is a live stream out there that is the largest crowdfunded program that's running on the internet, and it's The Chosen. And I highly recommend that to anybody to see it if you follow Christ. This is nothing like you've ever seen before, and it's a good one. It's better than anything you've seen in the movies. And one superpower, and then I'll let you all fire questions at me because I'm nervous as all get out. My superpower, I've been told, is my smile. And I think sometimes I always say it's a blessing and a curse, but I'm more than just a people person, you guys. I really, truly care about people. I like talking to them. I like learning things from them. I like learning about them, their hurts, their joys, everything, and anything that I can make a difference. I hope I make a difference in someone's day, a week, a moment, or with my close friends and everything, their lives. And that's all any of us can hope to do. So fire away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Lori. I'm glad that you touched on all of those things. And we do have about 6 more minutes left. So Deborah, I see your hand up. I'm not sure if it's the same question as earlier or a new one, but I'll turn the floor over to you.
One, I want to say I worked with Lori for, I don't know, 4 some years or whatever, and she's been such a good friend to me. So I treasure that. And another superpower she has, she's very gracious and very adaptable. What she hasn't really talked very much about is the police, working with police is different. I mean, I've made some major boo-boos when I was there and got in trouble. They're different. It's like military. There's, they have and she's learned how to navigate that and how to deal with the personalities. And she's gone through these, it's been no small thing, her going through these different chiefs, because they all have their own personality and style of managing things, and the way, so she just kind of breezed through that. That was, no, there's a lot to learning how they want their ship to be run. So she's very adaptable. So, I was hoping you're going to hit on that, but I just wanted to say that, I'm going to get emotional. All right, I'm leaving.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing, Deborah, and just, really highlighting Lori and the amazing person that, Lori, that you are.
Oh, shucks.
All right, Liz, I see your hand raised.
Yes, quick question, Lori. What was the name of your favorite class you took this past year?
Oh, there's so many. Now I want to look at the sheet. You know, hold on a minute. How about COVID vaccinations? I'm kidding.
You're so
You know,
funny.
I can't say just one, but I can tell you what I really do enjoy. I do enjoy listening to other women in leadership, and I've always like we all have our friends and things, but I always have like that one or two friend that they're so outspoken and they're so rough on the edges that I'm not that person, but I need that person. You know, I need that person. That person feeds something in me, you know, and I would probably say Dare to Lead that Kathleen Scott put out. That was really, really good. And I love the Women's Campus Connections and lessons from our leaders. And I'm not slighting the males at all, because I've always found I work better in a mixed environment. It just has to be very mixed. I don't go one group or the other. I work well with a mixture of all different kind of people. But I glean a lot from the women, from the strong women. You know, whether it be Debbie Aistone or Dr. Kuhn or any of the provosts, anyone. I learn so much from them, and they just whatever they have to say always strengthens me as a woman. And I'm going to add this, not being biased by any way, shape, or form, but I really enjoyed Chief Watson, and I learned a lot about him because he was just Jim and just the lieutenant here. But then I really learned a lot about him and how, and I was at home. So I learned about, I'm stepping into a new role with a new chief and I'm not even here. And so I learned a lot about his expectations and how he operates. And I did enjoy that one. So I'm sorry, Liz, it's not just one. I'm weird. I am so weird that way. I'm all over the map.
No, it's awesome. Thank you, Lori. And Virginia also put in the chat that you were just such a wonderful participant and asset to the Wellness Posse, especially over this last year. And just thanked you for all that you did there.
Thank you, Virg. And thank you, Deborah.
So we have just about one more minute. Are there any other questions or comments anyone wants to share before we wrap up today?
Dead silent. This is where Lori always comes up and breaks the ice.
I was just about to say, Lori, I've been working with Lori for years, and she is an amazing, I'm going to take this off for a minute. She is an amazing person, and her energy just helps to enliven a room or calm a room depending on what's needed. And that Grace is wonderful. She's been on my little team. I say mine, but really we all coordinate each other to get out there and work with the transformation. We started with the whole cross country thing as a team, went into the spring challenge as a team, Liz, Verge, and Hope and I, and it has been always a blessing to have Lori around. In fact, we saw each other this morning on the way in, and it just lifted me up.
Me too, because I failed to go on.
I told you, it's not about that. It's the sheer fact that we're still out there doing it, whether you remembered to log on or not.
I know. It was like
We've all done it. I did it. I slept through one day, remember?
Yeah.
All's good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for those kind words to Lori. And Yeah.
Thank you.
And Lori, thank you for sharing today. I know this has been really encouraging to me getting to be here. I think I can speak for everyone else as well. And so, yeah, thank you all for being here. We do have our last lessons from our leaders session on Thursday. And so the notice in the campus news had the time and the day actually incorrect. It did say November 18th, which was true, but that'll be on Thursday at 10 a.m. With Dr. Vina Howard from the philosophy department. And so I encourage all of you to attend there if you can. And with that, I hope you all have a great day and we'll see you soon.